What's up, YouTube? Your boy Donald is back with another video. Today I just got done driving from Oklahoma City to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, yeah, I'm very tired, very exhausted, red eyes, got a little fatigue. Currently on a little road trip to LA with the rest of the guys, Eric, Zealand, Percy. We're going to be moving there for 3 or 4 months. Finish working on some music. So we're very excited to go to the Sunshine State. But yeah, back onto the purpose of the video. I'm going to be reading this book. It's called the Workbook. When I went to LA a month ago, me and Eric, we randomly went to Barnes and Nobles to check out some Legos, and I saw this book at the front. So I decided to grab it and just gonna check it out, Sometimes I struggle with stress and anxiety, so I'm just looking for healthy, brand new ways to cope with that. Alright, so the last video I read the introduction, but now I'm going to read chapter 1. Well, part 1, which is called When We Don't Feel Calm. Alright, about to start reading now. The first step in making any kind of constructive change is to identify the things that might be holding you back. Things are holding us back. To that end, this chapter will help you recognize the influences in your life that draw you away from calm, the various forms they can take, and the specific impact they can have. Making an effort to face negative forces in your life requires courage and is arguably the toughest part of the journey towards calm. Nonetheless, this is a vital stage in its best approach of honesty, a willingness to learn, and a constructive mindset regarding anything you might find as a personal shortcoming. Give yourself as much time as you need to reflect, and you'll get the most out of this process. Okay. So yeah, we need to figure out why. I need to figure out why I'm unable to stay calm in certain situations. When I let my emotions take control. Alright. What are the benefits of feeling calm? Most people will have an understanding of what it is to be calm, but it might be surprising just how extensive its effects can be. Here's a list of the main mental and physical benefits of feeling calm. Alright, I'm gonna list a couple of these. It's like a long list. Okay. Improved sleep, more focus, emotional resilience. What does an unsettled mind look like? Disruption in the mind can manifest itself in a number of ways. Although all of these are natural responses, it is important to be able to differentiate between them if any one of them is having a detrimental effect on your well-being. Okay, the first form of disruption is stress. Stress happens when we feel under pressure in the present moment. It's usually a response to a particular situation, such as moving house or starting a new job. Bro, why do they word it like this? Such as moving house. But you get the point, Everyone feels stressed, over work, life, certain things you're going through. Being in the band is stressful. Okay, another disruption is anxiety. Anxiety is the worry you feel when you're not specifically under threat. Okay? It involves concerns about the future or dwelling on the past. The panicky feeling you experience in an exam is stress, but your worrying thoughts about what might happen in the future if you fail are anxiety. Yeah, we all are anxious, but sometimes we're anxious about things that we can't control, at least in the now. Okay, and the last disruption that this page is talking about is depression. Depression means suffering persistent feelings of low mood that can last weeks or months. Long-term stress can increase the risk of developing depression if you're not coping with those feelings. Yeah, acknowledge your depression, and you can't let it dwell on your spirit, No one wants to feel depressed. All right. Whether you're stressed, anxious, or depressed, taking time for positive action is the most important decision you can make, so you're already on the right track. Hey, if y'all feel depressed, stressed, or anxious, man, get this book. All right? Or pay attention to the series. All right, how to identify the things that make you feel unsettled. We have perhaps as many as 70,000 thoughts every day. That's a lot. Well, I feel like some people have a lot less than that, but that's a lot of thinking. And much of it is automatic. The first step to finding calm is recognizing that these thoughts are not facts. They are simply your mind attempting to interpret the world around you. Achieving calm is learning to recognize and acknowledge the scenarios that trigger unsettling thoughts that arise in your mind, without allowing them to perpetuate. Here is a list of common stressors as defined by the Mental Health Charity Mind. Alright, I'm going to try to go over this very quickly. Illness or injury, pregnancy, infertility, bereavement, experiencing abuse, experiencing crime, organizing a complicated event, everyday tasks such as chores, getting married, getting divorced, difficult relationships within the friends or family, being a carer, losing your job, long-term unemployment, retiring, exams and deadlines, difficult situations at work, starting a new job, poor living conditions, moving house, problems with neighbors, worries about money, living in poverty, and managing debt. Okay, so that's a list of the most common things. And me personally, the things that make me the most unsettled are worrying about money, managing debt, and honestly, just sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough for my current job, Yeah. You guys let me know in the comments the main things that make you feel unsettled. Maybe this is something we can work on together. Okay. What makes you feel anxious? That's the next topic. Although there are many common stressors, yours will be personal to you. To help identify them over the course of a fortnight, use the space below to make a note of any moments when you feel stressed or concerned. Write down when and where they occurred, what you were thinking or doing at the time, and give your stress level a rating from 1 to 10. So it's like a little thing I gotta write down. I'll probably write this down, and then I'll retouch upon it in the next video. Okay. Take note of your triggers. Look through your list of stress triggers one at a time and see how many you can eliminate from your week. If you can't avoid them completely, perhaps you can de-stress them to some extent. A common trigger for many people is a daily commute to work. Could you improve yours by taking a different route? Or could you walk, car share, change your hours, or work from home more regularly? If your job itself is a problem, can you talk to your boss and improve your situation? Or is it even time you apply for something new? Be as creative with your solutions as possible and write your ideas down in the space below and opposite. Don't be afraid to discuss them with your friends. They might come up with a solution that hasn't crossed your mind. That's another thing to take note of. Okay, next topic is go with the flow. I like going with the flow, you gotta be like water. It's often the case that our worries are based on events that are out of our control. We can feel frustrated when things don't go to plan or become anxious about the future, pinning our hopes on a particular outcome. However, it's important to be realistic about what we can and can't control in life. Next time you start to feel stressed, remind yourself that you can't always be in charge of events around you, but you can learn to control your emotions and the way you deal with them. Start each day with the thought, I will cope with whatever today brings. I'm gonna say that again. I will cope with whatever today brings. Say it. Be more intentional. I want you to say it yourself. I will cope with whatever today brings. Try not to spend your time pondering the what ifs that may or may not come true. Research has found that 85% of our worries never actually happen anyway. Also, bear in mind that even if your worst fears do become reality, you'll deal with them in the best way you can and seek support if necessary. We can't spend too much time dwelling on things we can't control, Best advice I can give to you is be like water, go with the flow, Don't try to fight upstream. Go downstream and it will take you to the right place. Okay, next topic is calm panic down. A panic attack is an intensive fight or flight response. Symptoms include breathlessness, sweating, and increased heart rate. Although a panic attack can feel all-consuming and very frightening at the same time, it isn't dangerous and it won't cause you physical harm, and it will always pass. If you suffer from panic attacks, it helps to have a plan in place to deal with them. When you first notice the signs, recognize what's happening and remind yourself that you'll be fine. Sit down if you can, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. Breathe in slowly for 4 seconds. Breathe in slowly for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 2 seconds and breathe out for 6 seconds. All right, let's try that. Breathing slowly is definitely a good way to calm down. As you steady your breathing, try to relax your muscles too. It might help to focus on an object nearby and study it mindfully, noting all the details, as this can help you tune out distractions. But maybe you need a distraction sometimes when you're having a panic attack. When you feel the details, as this can help you, when you feel able, have a low sugar snack, such as a piece of fruit. Citrus fruits in particular have been found to reduce anxiety because of the boost in vitamin C they provide. And sip some water to help you recover. Some good advice to help you calm down if you're having a panic attack. All right. Next topic is pushback false assumptions. Many of our stressful thoughts are based on false assumptions. When we wrongly assume something to be true, these unfounded ideas can have a damaging effect on our state of mind. From fearing that past experiences will repeat themselves to making pessimistic projections of what the future might hold. Perhaps you're worrying that you've done something to offend a friend who blanked you when you walk past them in the street. Or you think your boss isn't happy with something you submitted because you haven't yet had a positive response. These scenarios all involve assumptions. And next time you make one, stop your thoughts in the tracks and ask yourself whether there is a more likely explanation. Perhaps your friend didn't notice you because they had something on their mind, or your boss hasn't had the time to read your report yet. Learn to stick to the facts rather than following your negative assumptions, or you can end up wasting time by worrying over nothing. Okay, it's another section where I have to write some stuff down, so I will return to this. Adapt your outlook. Our brains are amazingly adaptive, and we can use that to our own advantage when combating stress. Studies have shown that taking part in activities such as meditation, volunteering, or practicing positively can actually change the physical makeup of your brain, boost your mood, and make you more inclined to behave optimistically in the future. So, if you start to think of yourself as an anxious person or a bit of a pessimist, the good news is that you can train your brain to react more positively. In the space below, try writing a list of 5 positive characteristics you would like to embody moving forward, such as optimism, understanding, enthusiasm, self-possession, and sincerity. Once you have your list, make a copy to take a photo of it and carry the list with you. Make a conscious effort to exhibit these qualities wherever you can, because faking it until you make it really can work. Okay, that's the end of part 1 of this book. Understanding what makes you not calm, Fake it until you can make it. I like that, When I first started in the band, I wasn't that experienced as a bass player, so I was pretty uncomfortable going up on that stage. But Jalen told me something important. He told me, "Yeah, fake this until you make it." So I might have been looking like I was having a good time, but deep down I was real uncomfortable. But over time, that uncomfortability went away, and I got used to playing on stage in front of all you people. It's a really good thing. But yeah, a little later I'm going to write down the little writing practices in this book and the guided exercises, and I'll share it with you guys. I really want to continue to read this book, and not just this book, but more books in the future, because I'm trying to improve my speech, and getting behind the camera and just speaking is the best way to do that. And using this book, just reading books, is like really good for improving diction and all that. I'm sure y'all know that. I'm not just trying to be performative like Kais and that. I'm just trying to get better, with myself. Mental health, physical health, and also my spiritual, So keep expecting videos like this of me reading books, fumbling the words around and shit. And yeah, that's pretty much it, okay? If you have any questions or anything, you have any concerns, just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. All right, see you.